where I was like, whenever I cried because I didn't want anybody to know I was crying, I would go get in the shower.
God doesn't see you as who you are.
Yeah.
He sees you as who you're meant to be.
We were like halfway there and he was like, do you ever regret getting into ministry? And I was like, I absolutely do. Yeah, I think it was the worst thing that could have ever happened.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Unfiltered Faith. My name is Elijah Honeycutt, and I believe this is episode 7. I've said that the past 3 episodes, but I think we're finally on track now. So today I have on Amanda McCutchen. We originally filmed this, what was it, like a month and a half ago now?
Yeah.
It was before Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Before Thanksgiving, yes.
Yes. So,
like the week before, I think, maybe.
So we filmed this, and it went great, Felt it was like a great conversation.
Yeah.
And when we went to end the recording, it stopped recording 15 minutes of the way through. So I had to leave for Thanksgiving. I did a couple podcasts, and finally we found a good time to sit back down. So I'm excited that we can do this again.
Round 2.
Yes, round 2.
It's going to be better. It's going to be better this round.
This one's going to be even better.
Yeah.
So kind of just jumping into it, kind of give me a rundown, backstory. Who is Amanda McCutchen?
Who am I? Well, I grew up here in Texas, Central Texas, Round Rock. It's where I'm from. It's where I was born and raised. I lived abroad for 2 years. My dad worked for Lockheed Martin, so we lived in Italy for 2 years of my life. And then we lived in Dallas for a year, but then quickly came back to Round Rock, and I grew up here. I went to high school here, and high school probably started my story. I was not a very interesting person up until then. I loved school so much. I was the best student. I was a straight A student.
Yeah.
Like, I could have been anything that I absolutely wanted to be. And then I get into high school and I get way too big for my britches. I become a sophomore. I get a vehicle. And it was downhill from there. I was like, because I thought I turned 16. I'm like, yeah, I'm basically an adult.
Yeah.
I can drink, I can smoke, I can do, pretty much whatever I wanted to. And I started running with the wrong people then. And it was a short-lived, really bad sinful life. But I got all of that out of my system within 2 years.
Really?
And so, actually, I guess it was about a year and a half because I met Jason. I was 17 and a half when we started dating. Okay. And he wouldn't date. He didn't want anything to do with me if I was still a pothead. Okay. And so it was about a year and a half. And I remember the day that I didn't stop drinking. I stopped smoking weed because I was a daily weed smoker. Yeah. And so much to the point to where I quit my job halfway to work and turned around because I wanted to go smoke, and it was and I was making really good money.
Yeah, I remember you said you were making 20 something an hour at the time, right?
Yeah, working at a call center. I was working at MCI, and we would just call people all day and try and upgrade their phone service, and I was really good at it.
And even now $20, that's pretty good at this time. So
yeah.
Then that would have been great, especially right out, or you were still in high school, weren't you, at that time?
I was.
Yeah, that was unheard of money probably.
Yeah.
In high school,
it was nuts. It was too much money for me to be making because I found out I could buy whatever I wanted. Yeah. I could do whatever I wanted, and
you don't have any responsibilities. So you can just blow your money on whatever. Yeah.
And I technically, I say dropped out. I went into homeschool.
Oh, okay.
At 16, my parents just finally gave up, and I had the greatest parents.
Yeah.
And I had a little sister, and she was really good at school. She kind of learned from a lot of my mistakes. She would watch me do stupid and get in trouble, and so she was pretty good. She just learned how to not get caught on some things. Yeah. Now that we're older. And I realized she wasn't as good as we thought.
Little angel, yeah.
She was. But I got caught every time I snuck out of my house. I remember this one time. I snuck out with my friends and I was at a party. When you think of party, every kind of drug you can imagine.
Yeah.
Alcohol, just nastiness going on. And my phone starts ringing. And I look down, and it's my father.
Oh, boy.
I don't dare answer this phone. Like, I just let them, like, they war dialed me. My parents did.
God.
And so, like, I get with my friends, and I'm like, we have to go right now. Well, they're on their way to take me. And you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think I talked about this last time. You know where I met these people? At a youth group that I was going to. There was a church in Round Rock. I think it was called The Exit, but it was only a young adult and teen church.
Really?
Which right off the bat should have been like, this isn't
yeah.
right, you know? And so there were like older leaders leading it, but for the most part, it was just teens and young adults. And it was like a random night of the week. I think it was like Thursday night or something like that. But my parents let me go because it's church, right?
Yeah.
And so this is where I met these people. Well, they're taking me home, and my parents are sitting in the driveway on my dad's tailgate. And I'm like, just keep going. Just keep going. I'm like, don't stop.
You don't face it.
Because I'm like, you're gonna die. Like
Yeah.
my dad growing up, he was a mechanic, and then he was a police officer, and then he was an electrician. Like daddy didn't play.
Yeah.
And so we kept driving, and my parents realized it was us. And it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And they follow us.
Oh my gosh.
And finally, I'm like, y'all are just gonna have to pull over. Like, my parents aren't giving up. And so we did, and my dad gets out of the car. I am a minor at the time. I think it was 15.
Oh my gosh.
And the people that I'm with were not 15.
No.
They were very well able to buy alcohol and everything that we wanted.
Oh wow.
Yes. And so my dad freaks out.
Gosh.
Needless to say, I didn't have those friends
Did
after
they
that.
call the cops on them or?
No, my dad just
Kinda
threatened their
yelled at 'em.
lives, you know. And
That's
so
hilarious.
I never went back to that. I don't think I ever went back to that church. I don't think I ever hung out with those friends again. But
So were those people like in any position at the church, or were they kind of just people that went?
one of them was one of the pastor's sons, the one that was
Okay,
driving,
well, I mean-
actually. Which
I mean,
you know
pastor's
about
sons,
like that, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't really account for too
No.
much. I mean, yeah, but wow.
We
that's
like to
crazy.
think, you know, because I'm like, I'm going out with the pastor's kid. And my
Yeah.
parents are like, y'all have so much fun bowling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're going to get lit. We're going to eat some pizza and drink some soda. And we were out doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's
But-
crazy. Like, cause I mean, so for me personally, it was probably like I started like really doing, you know, stupid things. Probably right at like 16, cause it was like
Okay.
going into high school, like that 8th grade summer is kind of when I like started, you know, experimenting with different things, just being
Yeah.
dumb, like just
Yeah.
rolling around with the wrong people, like you said.
Yeah.
So, but even before that with you, like even when you were in Italy, like I feel like I remember you said like you were walking around the streets of Italy in like the middle of the night smoking cigarettes, just like.
Oh, that was a trip I went on in high school. I went to
okay.
Spain.
Okay, so that's
Yes,
probably where
I was 16, and you know, God bless my grandparents and my parents. I was in a Spanish class, and they offered this trip, and I knew that I could get my grandparents to pay for it because it was an educational trip.
Yeah.
Right? And my grandparents they paid for me and my sister's college. We had a college fund the day that we were born.
Oh, wow.
Set up for us.
That's awesome.
And so they were all about education. So I knew if I took the education standpoint whenever I gave them this phone call
They'd be
and was like,
all in
I'm
for
going to be an exchange student in Spain to learn Spanish. And I got a certificate and everything.
Yeah.
I can't speak a lick of Spanish. And, but I knew it was going to be like this once in a lifetime opportunity.
I mean, that's an
And-
experience most people don't get to do ever.
No.
Let alone when they're in high school.
Yeah. So I was 16, no cell phone. Or was I 15? I may have been 15 because it was the summer that I got into my car accident. So I was 15.
Okay.
I think I was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
And I go for 18 days. And in Spain at that time, if you can see like over the bar top, they will serve you every alcoholic drink.
Are you serious?
You don't get ID'd. Now, I don't know how it is there. Like, I'm going to be 40 this year. And so this was what is that, 25 years?
Yeah, right at.
And so you could order anything that you wanted to drink, and you stayed with like a host family.
Yeah.
And so we would tell our host family, me and these girls that I was staying with, that we were going to go meet our teachers and stuff. We were going to go into town and meet them.
And during
so,
the nighttime?
like, it would be, like after dinner.
Oh, okay.
And so we would just go out, and like there were, 30 of us spread out throughout this whole town. And so we would meet up, some people were actually there for an education.
Well, yeah.
Some people were there just to party. And so quickly you figure out who your people are, And so, and you could buy cigarettes out of a vending machine over there.
That is insane.
Which we were like, heck yeah. But then you could trade cigarettes for joints, like on the street with people.
Way.
You would just give them like 2 or 3 cigarettes and they would give you a joint. And so for 18 days, I was high, I was drunk, and we had to go to like classes in the mornings and stuff. And it was the most miserable thing. And then we're just roaming the streets, and we would call home on a payphone. Really? And so, like, our parents didn't have really any idea where we were. I mean, we would just check in.
Location things.
No.
Like now there are, but
no. And so that trip for me was not educational, and I really wish I would have taken it a little bit more seriously, because I really could have learned. Like, I don't remember a lot of the culture, and I wish I would have taken it in a little bit more than I did, and I wouldn't have been so stupid. But I did. I actually got my belly button pierced over there at an underground tattoo shop. Like, it's a wonder that I didn't get stolen and sex trafficked, which I don't know if it was huge back then. But looking back on my life now, I'm like, God's grace has been on my life, like, forever. Yeah. But for like 2.5 years, I don't really know how he kept up and how he kept me alive, because if I think about the things that I did and how I made it through, one, with my mind, 2, with all the limbs on my body, and like 3, how do I have like such a good relationship with my parents and my family and stuff? Because at every twist and turn, I was burning bridges left and right, because it was just all about me, like whatever I wanted to do. And I was an awful person. I was really... It's just so strange, because like now I'm like, I can't stand like hardly being mean to people. I was super mean. Like, if you weren't going to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, like, peace out, bye, I'll never talk to you again.
Forget you.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, God's hand was on my life. And that summer that I come back from Spain, I got thrown out of a pickup truck.
That's when that was. So how long was that trip? Like, how was it? A couple month thing?
Only 18 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, because you hear like exchange student that come to the U.S. and it's usually like a year thing. So that's definitely an interesting. I mean, would they expect you to come back fluent in Spanish?
No, it was like a certificate program.
Oh, okay.
So it was more of an experience thing.
Yeah, just labeled as a educational trip. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the summer after, or the summer coming back, you said that's when the truck incident happened?
Yes.
So kind of talk about that. Like, what led up to that point? I remember vaguely from when we talked, but I don't remember too much.
So this trip was like right after we got out of school in May. And then right after that, I was hanging out with some friends. We actually were completely sober. We were babysitting.
Yeah, I think.
And it was my friend and her boyfriend and then her 2 nieces. And we had taken these kids to the park. And on the way back, we were like in the neighborhood. Her and I, instead of sitting in the bed of the truck, we sat on the toolbox in the bed of the truck. And then he started like messing around and acting like he was swerving. And it threw us. He swerved really hard. And it threw us off. But from where she was sitting, she just fell off. And she hit her head on the curb. And it cracked her skull in like 3 different places. And so she was actually dead on the scene. And they revived her like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
Before they could put us, it was back then it was called Starflight. But we were life flighted.
You had to get life flighted, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I landed like on my face on the sidewalk. Like, if you can imagine someone's front yard has like a sidewalk and then their yard.
Grassy area, sidewalk, and then
yard.
Yeah.
So I ended up about 15 or 20 feet into someone's yard. And I just landed like face down. So like half of the skin on my face was like ripped off. all like majority of the skin on the front side of my legs was completely ripped off. My arm, my wrist was broken so bad it like practically detached like from my arm.
Ugh.
My teeth went through my bottom lip. My mom said whenever they got to the scene, because a lady came out and I actually had a cell phone on me, and she was able, I was knocked unconscious, but she was able to like wake me enough to ask me like for my parents' phone number because she knew we were kids.
Yeah.
And I was able to give it to him. But my mom was saying like every time my heart would beat,
There's the
that blood
right?
would come like out with my heartbeat. So we were air flighted. I was in the hospital for like, I think it was like a week. I ended up having a surgery on my arm. And the craziest thing is, so Jason and I knew of each other. For me, I would think I was like 12. He was the DJ at our skating rink.
Yeah.
And so we had a mutual friend though, and she came and saw me in the hospital, and she was like my best friend, and she was really close with Jason as well. She called him and asked him to pray for me.
Wow.
And we really like we knew who each other kind of were,
Yeah.
but other than
Mutual
that was
friends,
it.
But
Yeah.
y'all then
We weren't
friends with each
interested
other.
at all in each other. And so he actually prayed for me whenever I was 15.
Wow.
And then we end up together, 2.5 years later.
crazy.
He actually tried to hook me up with one of his friends at
I
a
remember
party.
you telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just it was really weird the way that it all worked out, and I just can see God's hand all over my life, and I'm like, girl, I have to thank God every day. Like, thank you for keeping me alive.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I should be alive.
I bet that was very traumatic for those little girls too. I mean, the ones that were in the truck. I bet that was very scary because I mean, they probably weren't very old at all.
No, I think they were like 3 and 5.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the 5-year-old. The 3-year-old probably didn't have a super strong sense of what was going on. But by that time you're 5, you have a pretty good understanding of the things going on around you.
And
so
you remember.
Definitely probably a scary thing.
Yeah.
How was the boyfriend? Was he pretty upset about it? Like, was he mad at himself for a while? Did he hold that against him?
I don't remember a whole lot. I know this. When my parents got to the scene, the police had to stop my dad from murdering him.
Are you
because
serious?
My mom went straight to me.
Yeah.
My dad went straight to him. Which, that's a father. They're being protective and stuff. And so what they did to distract my dad from like literally killing this man was they made him hold the IV bag for my friend that they were trying to revive.
Yeah.
And then they put me in the helicopter, and we waited. Afterwards, I remember him coming into my hospital room a couple of times, and he was very remorseful. But to be honest, I didn't really talk to them much after our accident.
Did they stay together?
They stayed together for a little while, but then they ended up breaking up.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
like I get it, accidents happen, but like that's traumatic. Like that's a scary thing to happen, and I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be very hard to get past for someone. Like,
Absolutely.
you did that to me, essentially.
For my friend, she was in a coma for 8 days, and she woke up as like a 2-year-old. And so she had to relearn everything.
Really?
And with traumatic brain injuries, it completely changed her personality and who she was. She was a completely different person after that, and that's not her fault. It was just, it wasn't the same friendship that we had before, and then he was different. My parents really didn't want him around because they're like, you almost killed like my daughter,
Well, yeah, I mean, understandable.
And so, I went back to school, and I think maybe was that going to be starting like my junior year, and I think I went to school for like 2 months, and then I ended up quitting.
Really?
And so because I just got hooked up with some wrong people after that, and I was doing all kinds of crazy things, and I wasn't going to school anyways, and so my parents just pulled me out. Yeah.
I was gonna say online school, but so like, were you actually even doing anything? Like, were you doing homeschool, or were you just?
So back then it was so different. Like you would get on like your what's the name? Dial-up internet, and you would check an email. And so, like, you couldn't, it wasn't just Wi-Fi. Yeah. Like, you had to wait and, like, let it connect to the internet. Nobody could use the house phone if you were on the internet. It was crazy. And so, and then I think I had like books and you would mail stuff in.
Yeah.
And so I did very little of it. I was like, just let me work. I want to get a job. And so I worked with my mom a lot. What I ended up doing is diploma by exam.
Okay.
I just took a massive test.
So you still got your diploma, but essentially it was like in the
Yes.
version of like a GED where you just take a test and you get
Correct.
handed.
Yeah. But I have a high school diploma. Yeah. It's not a GED.
That's interesting.
And so it was five subjects. And you had to make, I don't remember what it was, like a 70 or higher.
Okay.
And I actually scored really well on it. And actually, so I went to college after that. I did ITT Tech, and I got my associates in CAD. And so computer aided drafting.
Okay.
So I wanted to be an architect. And I was with Jason before I graduated.
Okay.
And then I was with him all through my college years. We were both in college. We were both working.
Yeah.
We meet and it's just like, oh, this is the love of my life, and everything was changing for me. And so I graduated with like a 4.0 from high school, and I graduated college with, I think it was almost a 4.0. Like I was
Very
a really
smart.
great student.
Yeah.
And the only regret that I have is one of my professors, his name was Mr. Long, and he was a really short Asian man, and he was the best. He wanted me to go work for the LCRA. And
I'm not sure.
it's the Lower Colorado River Authority. And so I would be helping with like roads and bridges and like dams and stuff like that, like doing engineering for that.
In Colorado? Wait, no, Colorado
No,
River.
it's here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That was a dumb question.
Yeah. And he actually had an open door for me to be able to do that.
Wow.
But I wanted to be like a custom home architect.
Okay. Yeah.
And I wish I would have taken his advice because, I mean,
it's a good stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's something right out of college. I mean, it's probably not a terrible salary at it. I mean, you're working with the state essentially. Like you're probably getting contracted.
Dude, it was bank.
By the state. So
It
I mean, yeah,
was
it would have been a
bank.
good stepping stone.
Yeah. I would be probably a millionaire at this point in my life. But I went to work for a custom home builder making $10 an hour.
Jeez.
Right out
That's
of college.
insane.
Yeah.
That's just crazy to think about. You're making $20 an hour in high school. Quit that job. Go to college.
And then make
and
10.
probably put like a lot of money into college.
Yeah.
And then you get out and you're making $10. I would be pissed.
Yeah,
I would be so mad.
But it wasn't, I was just like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is my dream. Jason was still in college. We were living together. We weren't married yet. But me making $10 an hour and then him making whatever he made, like, we always had money because living back then was like so cheap.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
insane now. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I didn't stay there very long. I stayed there for a couple of months.
Okay.
The man that owns the company, there wasn't a door on my office. Well, one thing, like I had my own office and it was out off the 360 bridge and I had like this amazing view.
Awesome. Yeah.
And it was like any woman that wants to be like corporate America and you want to wear like a suit to work every day and go into this big office. It was really cool. It really was like a dream.
Like you doing that.
Yeah. And like you walk and like the whole building is glass and it's like right down from the, the 360 bridge.
Yeah, there's a couple glass buildings up there that are pretty big. I think I know
It's
what kind
awesome.
of area you're talking about.
It was so cool. And I had this office with this big window and like I could just see trees and stuff, but I didn't have a door on my office because the owner of the company, which was the boss, he had like fits of rage and he ended up breaking someone else's door, so they needed my door to go onto their office.
Took your door off?
So they just took my door because I'm like the new girl straight out of college, you know?
Like, yo, bring my door back.
Yeah. So I didn't stay there that long and I don't really know what I was thinking. I started cleaning houses after that. I was like, forget this.
Is that when you started your own company with that?
No,
or?
so I was actually working for a lady cleaning houses. Okay. And then I started like looking at how much these people were paying her and how much she was paying me. Yeah. And I was like, oh,
that's
heck
usually how it always works out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think I'm the same way personally.
Yeah.
Like when I get paid something, I'm thinking, okay, how much is this person making? And it just
Right.
makes me mad. I'm like, okay, like I'm getting
Right.
screwed here.
You're
like, what is
working.
going? I'm
You're
doing
working
the
hard
work
to make them rich.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like that's terrible. Like I can never see myself being like that type. Like obviously you got to do what you got to do sometimes, but like
Yeah.
my end goal is not to work for somebody else. Like I
No.
want to build my own thing, but obviously you have to.
You start
stack
somewhere.
some money,
Yeah.
to where you can go to the position to where you can do that. But
Yeah.
I'm the same way with that. Like that, when I look into that type of stuff, it makes me so aggravated. But
That's
sometimes
me.
you just got to do what you got to
But
do.
you're like, you know what? They put the money into it. They put the effort into it. They built it up to where they could hire me. So yeah, I worked there, I think, for like a year. And then finally I was talking with Jason and I'm like, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
My mom owned a cleaning company whenever I was younger. She never did like lived in homes. She always did new construction. But I'm like, and I was cleaning lived in homes at the time. And I'm like, I can totally do this. And so I did. And we didn't have like social media marketing and stuff back then. I had to print flyers and go hang them on doors. And then we would have like market days where you could go set up like a booth and you could pass out.
It's like a job.
Like a job fair kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I did that in Sun City every time they had one open.
That's hilarious.
And that's
where I do
how
my
I got,
windows at.
Really?
I clean I was there yesterday. I did like 4 window jobs out there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's funny. That's
it's
hilarious.
killer money out there for a business.
Yeah.
And so I built that up, and my mom came on with me, and then we had another lady come on with us. It was actually my mom's friend from high school. And so all 3 of us went into it, and we were making fantastic money. And that's what I was doing whenever we met your parents.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember that.
Yeah.
So
my little minivan. Dude, I would cruise around in my minivan cleaning houses, but and it was a paid off van my grandparents had given me. And I was making really good money doing that. And so
what
I was
ended
happy.
up happening with that? Like, why did it end up like stopping? Did you didn't want to do it anymore? Or?
So I ended up hiring a few people and kind of took more of like the ownership role, and I worked on scheduling and billing and all of that stuff. Sometimes people don't work as hard as you do.
Yeah.
They don't care for it as much.
You're trying to build your own thing, and they're like, well, I'm just getting a paycheck. Like, it's whatever. Yeah, so I mean, that makes sense.
So I went back into the field, and I worked on it a little bit more, and then I actually ended up, I didn't need the money anymore. The boys, Oliver and Wyatt, had come to live with us, and I wanted to be more of like a stay-at-home mom and really take care of them and get adjusted to this life. And so I ended up giving the business away to someone who was really close to me that was actually working with me at the time. And I had it to where we were making a couple $1,000s a week. And she ended up losing the whole business within like 6 months.
Are you serious?
Kind of run it into the ground. And so it made me sick, because I was like, how many years of work like that was. And we were I was able, for me to have a really nice income, and then like 3 other people to live off of the income that I was able to pay them.
That's like a good feeling. I mean, you're taking care of other people.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it's a good feeling. We definitely got off on a little tangent.
Yeah, we did. We went. How do you start a business?
I'm curious. So when you were growing up, were y'all involved in church at all? Like, was that something that did you go to church at all? Like, was your family religious? Like, because I mean, people always say, yeah, I'm Christian. Like 80%, I don't even know anymore. The world has gotten so crazy that some people.
Yeah, I think most people, probably like 80, like you said, 80% of people say I'm Christian.
Yeah.
So whenever I was a baby, of course, I don't remember this, we went to a church, and it was my parents and myself.
Okay.
And then I think they just got out of the habit of going.
Yeah.
And then whenever I was like 10 or 11, I can't remember exactly, my mom ended up going back to church.
Okay.
But my parents believed different ways. See, my mom was Pentecostal, not long hair and skirt Pentecostal, but like Leander Church of God is where we ended up going. My dad was Baptist, so my dad never went with us, and neither one of them were willing to budge, which I'm wishing that they would have. I'm pretty sure that something in my house is about to fall down. And so we went, and obviously, if you have like a husband and a wife and they're not on the same page, it's not going to last very long.
Yeah.
And so I think we went for like a year, maybe two, and then that was it.
That's funny you
Yeah.
say that. I just did my episode with Mark Ogletree.
Yeah.
And when he was a kid, he always went to church with his aunt. But his aunt and uncle were two, like you were saying, like your parents were two different had two different beliefs.
Right.
And every single Sunday they both went to different churches and had no issues at all their whole life. And I was like, that is very unheard of.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. Now my dad wasn't going to church.
Yeah.
I think he said he was Baptist because that's what his mom was.
Yeah, but
he never went. And so that was all of the like church that I had growing up. And all I knew was like spirit-filled Pentecostal church. And so I knew whenever it was time for us to come back, which is so funny because Jason said he was praying and he was like, God, I want someone that believes exactly like me. Well, he was raised Pentecostal, but he was going to a Baptist church. Yeah. And so we were talking one night and he was like, do you believe in God? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not going to hell.
He asked you, he was like, who is God or something like that. You're like, what do you, he's God.
Yeah, yeah, he's just God. And so he had asked me one night, and he was like, do you believe? And like, what type of belief? He was just trying to, he was like, am I like getting into like Catholic or Lutheran or something like that? And I'm like, well, my mom's Pentecostal, my dad's Baptist, but I've only been to a Pentecostal church. And he was like, this is absolutely insane. Like, this is me.
Yeah.
And so we actually started going to church after my sister went to a
camp, right?
Camp, yeah, with the Church of God. She ended up with some friends that went to high school with her that were part of the Church of God. And so she was like, I want to go to this church camp. And so she did. She comes back. She's fired up for God. And so then me, Jason, and my mom end up going back to church. And that's where Jason and I both get saved as adults. And we're like, okay, like we're either like we're in this and we're in this 100%. And so it wasn't long after we were in, we ended up getting married. Like we immediately knew, like we can't be living together. Yeah. He started working in youth ministry. I helped a little bit. Youth ministry was never something that I ever felt called to. And so I would help and I would go and we would have fun and I would go with them to like Winterfest and stuff like that. But I never had a passion for it. To be honest, I'm like, y'all get on my nerves, you know? And I'm like, I just can't be around you. I always liked the younger adults, like get them graduated like and get them into college. 20, Yes.
It's just a maturity thing. Like freshman to like junior year, it's like bouncing off the walls, have no care at all.
No.
I say that for most people. I guess I was just always the stray one out of the crowd. I was never very high. Okay, that's not true. Looking back on it, like there's a couple times I was definitely hyper, but majority, I've always been like, I feel like I've just been very laid back. Like I see like, even when I was in high school, I see like these kids running around the halls. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Like,
I was like,
so dumb.
I was like, we're 16 years old and you're running through this hallway right now. I was like, chill, bro. Like, but I definitely get what you mean. I'm the same way. I'm very short, patient, like.
Yeah.
If you're being annoying, I'm gonna tell you, like, chill.
Like shut up, you know. And like girls, high school girls, they cry
drama
a lot, and I don't do well with people who cry. Like I was with somebody when they found out someone really close to them died, and this was like 2 months ago, and like thank God I had Chelsea with me because. Like she tells me like so-and-so like she got a text and she's like so-and-so just died and like I didn't know. I would just put my hand and I was like it's gonna be okay. You know, and I don't do well. I don't do well, which is terrible for a pastor's wife, right? But with someone like just having an emotional freak out, I'm just like I don't know what to do with you. Because for me, like I'm not an overly emotional person. Like things make me sad, and yes, I cry. I'm not like hard, you know. But I don't know what to do, and so that's high school girls. They cry over everything, and I'm like, I can't. Shut up, suck it up, you know.
I'm the same way. I get awkward in those types of situations.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do, dude. Like, I'll give you a hug,
Yeah.
pat you on the back, but like
Dry
I'm
it
the
up.
type of way that's like crying ain't gonna solve nothing. Like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but I've never really been like looking back. I've never been a crier. Like,
Yeah.
there's very few times in my life where I can think and I was like, yeah, I cried.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just never really been an emotional person. It's I don't know. It just bothers me though. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
If someone's
I'm just
crying
like-
around me, I'm like, yeah, I'm
See?
sorry. Like, but no,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just like, it's gonna be okay.
I'm standing.
You know,
yeah,
and
I'll get over
Jason's the
here.
complete opposite of me, which I thank God for him, because there's been things that we've gone through. Oh, this table.
Chapstick
There's
fell.
been things that we've gone through in our life where, I mean, it's like ripped my heart out. Like we lost 2 kids, and then I lost my grandparents 6 days from each other, and I was as close to my grandparents as I am to my parents.
Yeah.
And so he was really good during that. But even then, I let myself be sad for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you have to get over this. Like, crying's not bringing them back. You know, you just have to remember them and, you know, do your best to live your life and honor them. And so.
And the way I see it is like, I mean, I can't say for everyone because obviously maybe, you know, everyone's not going to heaven. But for the people, you know, that you know, it's like, hey, they're in a better place and they're in a place where they probably would rather be. Because, I mean, especially
absolutely.
when you get to an older age, like, honestly, a lot of older people, once you start getting to your, like, 80s and 90s, they don't want to be around anymore.
No,
they're
they
just
don't.
hurting. Like, they're not all there in the head. And it's like,
Right.
they're probably way happier where they are. And that's the way I see it. And I mean, my great grandma, she's an exception. She's 97 right now. And I mean, you could ask her when she got her hip surgery and she'll tell you on a dot. Like, her mind is insane.
That's your mom's granny, right?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, it shocks me every time I go and visit her.
Yeah.
That she's still, like, she gets up, walks around. I mean, she uses a cane, but
Right.
it's just a shocker.
Well, gosh, she's 90-something years old. Like, of course she uses a cane.
It's really, like, shocking to me that she's still all there in the head, like, at that far of an age. It's crazy.
No, that's really cool. I think so yeah, with people crying, I can't do it. So that's why I just couldn't do the youth stuff. But I loved God so much, and I'm like, we'll do whatever we have to do. And like, we lived in South Austin, and I know Jason's told this before, like, we never missed a church service. I was like, because my personality is all in or all out. Like, I can't be half in, half out with something. And so, and fortunately for him, he was like, I'm all in. And so we just decided this is our life. And so we took on, and I was actually talking to him the other day because I was doing some studying, and I'm like, I think this is the problem with people. They see themselves as like, church is just something I do. It's not who I am. Yeah. And so with a lot of things, people see that it's like, it's yeah, we go to church, or yeah, I tithe, you know, sometimes. And it's like, instead of saying I tithe or I do this, I am a tither. I am a giver.
You have to make it your identity.
I am part of the church. And so we jumped headfirst in, and it's been an absolute insane roll. Like, not to say that everything's been perfect, but 100%. It's been a heck of a lot better than it was the years that I lived without God in my life.
Oh yeah, I can say the same thing for me as well. You know, it's like, you're never going to live perfect. You're never just going to have an easy life. Because, I mean, even in the Bible, it says it's the way of the transgressor. Like, it's going to be hard at times.
There's going to be hard times,
But it's rewarding.
You're going to go through trials and tribulations.
Exactly. But at the very end, you come back to it, and it's like, the thing that I heard that it really sticks with me is like, okay, you can live your whole life and not be a good person, do the wrong things, and you could get to the end of the road, and let's say God was real, you know, and you're at the end of the road, you go to hell. Or you could just be a morally good person, follow the things that you're supposed to, even if you don't think God is real. And at the end, he is real, and you still go to heaven. Like, it really comes down to just being morally a good person, and, you know, just having that relationship. I mean, you if you don't believe, like, it's still not hard to be a good person and morally good. There's like, you run into just angry people sometimes.
Right.
People that have no business being upset, but like every
Yeah.
day they just walk around with like an angry face.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how can you live
Yeah.
your whole life being angry
Yeah.
at something that, you know, probably has no business of keeping you angry like that? I mean,
Right.
it's just a terrible life in my
Yeah.
opinion. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that's funny. That's something we talked about last night on our live that we did, is people let a circumstance in their life become their identity.
Yeah.
So they let one hard thing that happened, and not saying that it wasn't hard to get through or that it was a very unfair thing, but they allowed that thing to identify who they are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's such an easier way out. And a lot of people think like following Christ is like this big task, but really when you read your Bible and you get into it, you understand that, and just like the Bible says, his burden is easy and his yoke is light. There's not a heaviness walking through this life. It's like an abundance of everything, you know, of joy and of peace. And it's a really good life. And I wish more people could understand that, because they think that they're having to give up,
So many
you know,
things, yeah.
all this fun stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just a different type of fun. You know, like a fun that doesn't leave you hanging your head in a toilet, you know, the next morning and feeling absolutely miserable for 24 hours.
It's just a different type of joy. I mean,
It
obviously,
is.
like there's a worldly joy, yes.
Yeah.
And people who say you can't have fun doing bad things, I would 100% disagree.
Well, the Bible tells you that you can, that sin is fun for a season. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, when I smoked and did all these things, every time at the end, like the end part was always terrible. Like, you know,
Right.
like it'd be like, okay, well now I'm not happy if I don't do this. Now I can't eat if I do this. Now I can't sleep if I do this. And it's just like, at first, yeah, it's like this like bubbly, like, oh, I'm high, you know.
Yeah.
But then it's like when you do it every day, it's like it honestly just makes you feel like dead inside. Like you can't think your own thoughts. You can't do all these things. And I don't know, I mean, it's fun at first, but then it ropes you in and it's like a trap essentially, like something where it's like, okay, if I'm gonna stop this, it's gonna be really hard. Like you gotta really commit to stopping or else you're just gonna get roped back in. I was talking to my friend today actually, and I was like, it's easy to stop. I was like, that's no problem. But I said, it's even easier to get back into it. You could go 6 months of stopping, but then just one day could cause you into another 6 months of doing it again. And that's the biggest thing is, you know, even like that one day, it's not just one day. You're going to do it that one day, and then you're going to want to do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day.
Because you're always searching for like that high point.
Yeah, and it's like almost like dopamine almost. Like you're looking for something to make you happier than what you are. Like that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
But kind of continuing, so y'all were youth pastors there. How long were y'all at Elkhog for, Leander Church of God?
Okay, let's see. We got married we went there in 2007.
Okay.
And then we started Freedom Life Church in 2012.
So
because it was the year Oliver and Judah were born.
Yeah.
And so we were there for 5 years. Okay. And then we met your parents. Actually, my sister and my mom were going
to a football game.
Well, they went to the church that Kingsgate, where your parents came down. So my sister and my mom were actually there for a little while before your parents came down. And then they met your parents, and your mom and my sister ended up getting pretty close. And then my mom and your mom got pretty close, and they were like, you have to meet these people. You have to meet these people.
Because you weren't there, but we went to one of Wyatt's like flag football games.
Yeah.
And that's where, I don't know if that was the first time y'all met, but that's where we met PJ, or that's the first time I remember ever meeting.
Yeah.
And then we went out to Chewy's afterwards, and you met us there. I don't think you were
We went to Chili's.
Was it Chili's?
Yeah, Jason didn't come to the game this time.
So I had it backwards.
He wouldn't come because he didn't want to meet y'all. Yeah. And so he was like, I don't want to meet these people, you know.
So you were the one at the game.
I came to the game, and we went to Chili's, but no, he didn't even meet us. The first time that he met y'all, he came to a service at Kingsgate. Because I was like, I really want to go check out this church. Like, I really want to see, like, what are these people about and stuff. And so we went, and him and your dad, after service, ended up talking for like 2 hours.
Really?
which is no surprise to anybody listening.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And they just hit it off. And then after that, it was like we were with y'all every single weekend. Like every Friday night, we're at Outback. Do you remember that?
I mean, I
In Round
remember
Rock?
bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's been so
But that
long
was
ago.
actually, we were still at the Leander Church whenever that happened. So we
Yeah.
met y'all, what was it, 2011 then?
Probably. Somewhere there.
And then Jason started, like, God told him, like, you've talked about these people in their church. Now you are going to go fight for these people and you're going to defend them.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for him, even though he knew it was God telling him. But he's like a very committed person. He's a very loyal person.
Yeah.
And so we ended up leaving and we came to Kingsgate, and then we ended up creating Freedom Life Church. And it was just, we were elders. We were fine being elders.
Yeah.
We loved supporting your parents. We were like, this is great, you know, because we were like, we'll go on vacation whenever we want. Like, y'all hold it up, which was totally wrong. We were terrible elders for a few years, and I'm not really sure how your parents didn't slap us, but they didn't. They're great people, and then now we're pastors because your mom and dad were like, we are out of here. Enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy to think that's already been 2 years ago. I mean,
It'll be
well, I'm talking about when they
since
actually
they
left, but
yeah.
it's almost been 3 years since y'all actually took over.
In
'Cause how long?
February.
Oh, really?
In
Wow.
February, it's 3 years since we've
my
been
gosh,
pastoring.
that
I
is
know.
That's so crazy.
It's gone by so fast. I'll never forget. So your dad asked Jason to come meet him for lunch, which was totally normal. They did that all the time,
They ate, like,
you know?
3 times a week.
And
together,
so, and so I actually wanted to go because I was like, I'm off work that day.
Yeah.
So I text your mom and I'm like, hey, let's go with the guys.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know. She was like, I really got some stuff that I need to do. And I'm like, this fool, you know? I'm like, I'm trying to go have lunch with you, like us together. Like, how often is it just the 4 of us? And anyways, I think something ended up coming up, and neither her or I went. It was just the guys, and they were gone for a long time, which per
Probably
usual,
normal,
you know.
yeah.
But I remember I was sitting on the couch. We lived in our Bartlett house then, and Jason walks in the door, and I just like look at him like, "Hey, how are you?"
Yeah.
And he looks like he's just ran over a child, you know. And then I'm like, "What's up?" And he's just like, "Mark and Carrie are moving to Tennessee." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "And they want to know if we want the church." And like this is, and you know, like he's a man of many words, you know? And so like he's articulate, but this is all that he can say. And I'm like, "Are you serious? Like I need all the details." And so like he sits on the couch and he's like, "This is something like we really need to pray about, because if not, we're gonna fold the church."
Yeah.
And so like they feel like they need to go home, and there's a work for them there, which obviously looking at it now, like everything that they're doing, like that was most definitely God saying, okay, you came here, you established a church, you know, you made some lifelong friends. And it's like, there's no doubt in my mind that we were supposed to be connected.
Yeah.
And so, but everything runs, you know, in seasons, and it was time for them to go home now.
Yep.
And so I just remember looking at Jason and I'm like, well, what happens to those people? You know, like if we just dissolve the church, what happens to them? And for years, he and I had always said, like, we never want to be pastors. But he always knew in the back of his mind that he was going to be a pastor. And which is funny because, like, I always just shoved, like, all these, like, that I had this vision and it's not like a kook vision, you know, like a kooky person. But when we were at the Leander Church and it was me standing on a platform preaching. Really? And I thought, like, over my dead body, will I ever grab a microphone and preach? Like, I will do paperwork, I will clean the church, you know, I will do whatever, but I'm not standing and I'm not speaking in front of people. Like, you are crazy.
That's hilarious.
And so, but then, like, all this stuff just keeps flooding back to me. And so I'm like, we owe it to God and to these people to give it a shot. Yeah. Let's just, like, maybe we suck. And if we suck, then whatever, we move on with our lives. And which is crazy because he and I wanted to move out of Texas before this. Like, we were planning, we had a day, we were just, you know, waiting for some stuff to fall in line, and we were going to move. And then this happens, and it's almost like God was saying, like, if you move, you're not going to walk into the calling that I've created you for. And so we did it grudgingly, begrudgingly, maybe is the word. I don't know. And it turns out it has been the best thing that has ever, that we have ever done in our lives. I thought I was going to be miserable because I'm like, I'm not a pastor's wife. And I'm like, and I'm not changing like my personality and who I am. Like, I'm going to be real and I'm going to be authentic. And I'm going to say, that sucks and crap, and stuff like that. Like, that's who I am. I can't be like the woman that sits on the piano and plays Amazing Grace every Sunday, and glory to God for those people. But I'm like, I don't want to just be the church lady. No. And so, and come to find out, that's not what other people want either. They want like real authentic. And they're like, hey, if God can use you, like, that's what I want my life to be. If God can use me, then he absolutely can use you, because I was like the chief heathen, And so, and now preaching is one of the funnest things that I do. Like, when Jason puts me on schedule, I'm like, let's go. And I love it so much because I love studying for preaching. And so it's crazy. And all this has happened in 3 years. And I'm like, 3 years and look where we're at.
Yeah. Before we keep going, kind of about now that y'all are pastors, I want to jump back to still when, y'all were under my parents helping with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
There was a point, when it was really, really rough for y'all. Like, it was almost like rock bottom.
Yeah.
And that was probably when, like 2016, 2017, around there.
I'm terrible with years. I think probably 2017.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
So, I mean, because when was that? Was that when y'all were still in the Hutto house? Because
we were. So we were in our Hutto house. We had built this big, beautiful home. Yeah. And then, like, our world came crashing down. Like, we had Wyatt and Oliver, and we were sued for custody of them, and we lost pretty much like everything. We put all of our money into court fees and stuff like that.
Is very expensive.
It is very, very expensive.
Lawyers alone are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. And so we lost my car. We almost lost our house. Fortunately, we were able to sell it. Now, we had to pay to sell the house. Yeah. Like, we didn't make any money off of it. We moved our whole family into my sister and brother-in-law's spare bedroom. Yeah. It was all of us. Wyatt slept in their game room. Oliver slept on an air mattress in the floor, and we had our dog. We had our Mastiff Jojo.
Big dog.
And it was this rock bottom place. And that's crazy that you bring this up, because actually, I was sitting on the front porch and I was praying last night, and I actually got a message out of this. And what had happened to me from the time I got saved, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I love Spirit-filled church. Yeah. I love the Holy Ghost. I don't think it's weird to speak in tongues. And I had all of that. And I was very charismatic. Yeah. I had shouted, I had danced, I could spin, I could speak in tongues better than anybody, But I hit rock bottom, and what happened was the word of God wasn't in me. Yeah. So what it did is it made me angry towards God, because although in the church I looked like the perfect Pentecostal girl, I was so malnourished in God's word that I was dying, because although I could shout and I could, speak in tongues and all of this, I didn't have God's word on the inside of me. And that was the hardest part for me, because there was a point in time where I was like, whenever I cried, because I didn't want anybody to know I was crying, I would go get in the shower.
Really?
Because I could cry in the water, and then I could be like, oh, I got soap in my eyes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I remember I was in the shower, and I threw my hand up at God, and I was like, I hate you. Yeah. And those words came out of my mouth. And it wasn't that I actually really did. It was, I didn't learn, because a lot of times we miss this in our style of church. You need to be so grounded in God's word. The other stuff is so important.
Yeah.
Having God's Holy Spirit is so important, but his word is the most important
none
thing.
of
If
that
you
means
never
anything.
speak in tongues, but you know God's word, like, you can't be thrown off.
Yeah.
And this was, yeah, something hard, but it shouldn't have been something that threw me so off course for so many years.
Yeah.
And it hindered me for years. There were several times I'd have to text your mom and I'm like, I am the most terrible friend. You know, there were times like your dad made him, me, and your mom get on like a FaceTime call, like to where he could see me, and he was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I'm good, I'm fine. And he was like, absolutely not. Like, you're not okay. And looking back at it now, it was meant for me to be like depressed, and that's not my personality at all, you know. And it was meant to pull me out of ministry and out of my calling and out of my purpose, and it almost did. Like, I wanted to give up. And you know what, I kept showing up to church because Jason, you know, he was like, we got to go to church, we're elders, you know. And I didn't want to let your parents down, even though being there and not doing anything for them was just as bad as like me not going. And I would find every excuse for us to not go to church. I'd be like, we've been at church enough, we need to take a break. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's not even who we are. Like, for me and Jason, we would be there every freaking night if we could. Like, we're like, this is the coolest place on earth. And that's, I mean, I'm not going to preach it to you because it's a message that I'm working on, but I'm like, that's it. You've got to be rooted in God's word. And
it's not, and only
I
that.
Firsthand witnessed that.
Yeah. It's not only that, it's almost like it's like a performance. It's, I'm doing all these things, you know, I'm doing it. But then really, like, you can raise your hands in church. You can do all these things in church, but really it's what's going on behind the scenes. It's, are you really?
Yeah, my heart wasn't in it.
Exactly. It's like you're professing with your mouth and, you know, your actions while you're there that's who you are. But are you really doing that in home? Like, you know what I mean? And so that's the way I see it. You know, it's
and I was throwing down margaritas on the weekend, and your parents never knew it.
Yeah,
I would get soused on like a Friday or Saturday night and then come to church on Sunday.
I was just about to get into that too.
And we would tell people at church, drinking is a sin. And then we, you know, and it was we reverted back to our old ways where we drink all the time. And we were like, well, like, if people were really going through what we were going through, knowing that like people are going through way worse than you, like, suck it up, you know?
That's funny. I was going to bring that up, you know, because I don't think I've ever told anyone this, but there's one night I was at y'all's house and me and Wyatt were downstairs and he was like, bro, look what I found. And it was like a bottle of like whiskey or something. And I was like, who's that? I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And I never said a word, but I was like, and you know, then I started hearing things and, you know, hearing about that. And I was like, wow, like, you never would have even, like, you don't know it.
You never would have imagined.
That's how it was for me as well. You know, like, I was doing the exact same things. Like, I was going out smoking the night before, getting, like, there's literally a time that I got so drunk one night and I woke up the next morning and I was pretty positive I was still drunk. And I was like, well, I got to get to church.
Got to go to church.
And so I told my friend, I was like, bro, you got to come with me. I was like, because if you come, they won't question me. I was like, I'll just be happy you're there.
Yeah, right?
So I was like,
they'll be like, our boy's an evangelist. He brought a friend.
You have to come with me. And he was like, bro, I don't want to. And I was like, I don't care. You're coming with me. And like, I would literally, like, I would be falling asleep back in the sound booth, but no one ever knew what I was really doing because I was putting on an act.
Right.
And, you know, honestly, all that does is it hurts you. At the end of the day,
does.
Because it's like building this falsification that, oh, I'm this perfect person, you know, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But then when people start coming to you for things, it's like, well, I can't help you. I can't even help myself right now. Like, I'm in this spot to where I want to give up.
Right.
But yeah, I still have to help other people. And it's very difficult.
That was hard. That was like, that's one of those hard spots when people are like, yeah, I just want to be delivered, you know, from alcohol. And I'm like, yeah, shikamo, you know, I'm praying for them. And I'm like, Yeah, me
would
too,
too
bro.
as well,
You know,
yeah.
like I wasn't even really me too. I didn't even really care at that point. I was just like, I'm just gonna do this because it's expected of me. We're the
You're just
lead
there
elders.
to put a face there
Yeah.
and do your part. When,
Yeah.
I mean, you could say you're doing your part,
I was
but
doing
I
a
mean,
really crappy job
and
on
it's
my
not
part.
even
Yeah.
that. It's just like were y'all really doing y'all's part at the end of the day? Like it's like there's y'all
Right.
were great, and the like the way I see it is there's like, and I hate to say this because obviously I don't see this in y'all at all.
Right.
But so many people nowadays, they say they proclaim, and this is how I was. They proclaim with their mouth they're a Christian, and they do all these things.
Yeah.
But with their actions, it's like you're serving the devil.
Yeah.
Chris said
Yeah.
this. He was like, you proclaim with your mouth that you're a Christian, but your actions show you're serving the devil.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that helps nobody. It doesn't help
No, it
yourself.
doesn't.
It doesn't help the other people. And really all it is it's like, oh, well, I just have to show my face because that's who
Right.
I am. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, kind of go, how long was that period for y'all where y'all were, battling that?
So we actually didn't really drink in 2017. I did behind Jason's back in 2018.
Really?
I did. And
How does that happen?
he would be at work
No way.
and I'd go hang out with some friends and I would get,
Really?
there was one day I got drunk.
Really?
And then I had to go home and cook dinner.
I bet that dinner tasted
And
real
he
good.
actually asked me, he was like, what? Like, why does your breath smell like that? And I was like, it's this gum, because I was chewing gum.
Yeah.
And so I was like, it's this grape gum, And so I was like, look. And so like I went to like pretend like I was breathing on him, but I didn't let any air out and just like let the gum. And he was like, oh, okay. It was a few years after that, actually, I think, where everything just kind of caught up to us. And we lived in Bartlett when we were both drinking.
Yeah,
pretty
'cause,
heavily.
I mean, that's when it was. That's when
Was
we were
it?
at the Bartlett house when that happened.
Yeah.
Because it
And-
wasn't the house that was on the golf course. It was in Bartlett.
Yeah.
Because I remember me and Wyatt were like up late or something.
Yeah,
and-
we both started drinking at the house on the golf course, the townhome.
Yeah.
We both started drinking then and hanging out with friends who drank that didn't go to church with us. And it just kind of started there. And then it was like, okay, after he comes home from a football game,
yeah.
We're going to sit in the yard and we're going to drink. And then finally it was like, this isn't who we are.
Yeah.
We're just doing this because like financially it was like a good stretch of probably 7 or 8 years where it just felt like we could never get ahead financially. And it just felt like nothing ever went our way. And now looking back on it, I'm like, not one time did we do what the word said to do. Like we weren't consistent tithers. We weren't consistent givers. We never put the kingdom first. We always put our wants and everything that we wanted to do first. Like it was going to be our business. And just, it was always our visions and our goals ahead of anything that God ever wanted in our life. And we were reaping the fruit of that because our seed that we sowed was terrible,
And that's going back to exactly what I was talking about. Like y'all never envisioned, the first time that it happened, that it was going to spiral into that. You thought, oh, it was just this one time.
I just needed this one
and it
time.
was just like that. Like it's easy to quit, but it's even easier to get right back into it. And it could be 10 years down the line. I mean, it's a choice every single day that you have to make. And the one time that you slip up, it's not like you're quitting one time.
Right.
It's you're getting back into it.
Yeah.
And that could snowball into a 6 month to year to 10-year effect. Like I know people that, were sober that slipped back into it and went, 5 years into doing it again.
Right.
And it's so easy to fall back into that type of stuff. And it's like Pastor Terry McCaffrey said, you really have to put on your armor of God every day. And push that stuff away, because if you don't, I mean, it's just going to be a battle every single day. So I mean, it's definitely one of those things where you don't even mean for it to happen, but it can come just like that.
Yeah, because we didn't drink from the time we got saved, 2007, until this time. So it was like 10 years.
Exactly.
For me, I think it was actually, it may have been longer for Jason. I don't know. But yeah, 10 years. And then
Just like that.
and I'm like, what? Over a bad day, you're gonna like give that up, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, but now we're here.
Yeah.
And it's not that anymore.
Of
Things
course,
that,
no,
you know,
yeah.
am I exactly where I want to be? No, I don't think anybody is. But every day I strive to get better and closer with God. There's still stuff that in my life that, yeah, of course I hang on to that I shouldn't. And there's still ways that I think sometimes that I shouldn't. There's still ways that I talk sometimes that I absolutely shouldn't. But I will never let myself get back to being a defeated Christian, because that's not who we're called to be.
It's not how you're supposed to live.
No.
And one thing I actually heard in a podcast that I really like, it said, if you're ever afraid that you're not progressing and you're not doing what God wants you to do, it said, take a look back. Take a look 5 months ago. Are you better, and are you working to fix something that you were doing 5 months ago that you did not want to be doing?
Right.
And it said, if you can't do 5 months, take it back a year. A year ago, was there something that you were doing then that you wanted to do better of that you were not doing anymore?
Yeah.
And as long as you're progressing every 5 months, every year, every 5 years, it stacks up. And those things eventually become, you know, instead of it being a mountain, it's a small hill.
Yeah.
And it adds up and adds up.
Yeah, it does.
And before we, you know, get back into, you know, the church now, the one last thing I want to talk about is on the way, I believe it was to a church service, you told PJ, you were like, I don't remember exactly.
I regretted getting into ministry.
Yeah, something along those lines. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So it was during this hard time in our lives, and actually the church had just taken a hit. I believe a whole bunch of people had just left the church.
Okay.
And we were on our way to a leadership meeting. And on our way there, I think because neither one of us, there was no excitement. We were just like, we're going because we're leaders and we have to, you know, like we don't want to get in trouble, you know? And we were like halfway there, and he was like, do you ever regret getting into ministry? And I was like, I absolutely do. Yeah, I think it was the worst thing that could have ever have happened, which was a complete lie.
Yeah.
But just to be flat out honest, I was selfish. I was a selfish person. And I thought that I had given up so much for God, you know, and he wasn't coming through for me because I was having to go through this stuff, which in reality, I was a sucky Christian, you know?
And it's not only that, it's, you know, in the moment, things feel so much bigger than they are. Like, I've had times where in the moment I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Like, I feel like I'm going to die. Like, I feel like, you know what I mean?
You build up these things.
It's like, the more you stress yourself out, the bigger it feels in the moment. And then 5 months down the line, you look at it and you're like, that was really not, I mean, it sucked at the time.
Right.
But it was nowhere near the magnitude that I was making it.
You just completely overreacted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, sorry.
That was it. And so we get in there, and you know, your dad's talking, and he's trying to stay uplifting and positive, and he's like, we're going somewhere, we're building something. And he was like, does anybody have anything to say? And I wasn't going to say anything, but it was just like, I was like, I have to say something because like I'm going to lose it. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, yeah, you know what, I do. And I'm like, Jason asked me on the way here if I regret going into ministry. And I'm like, I absolutely do. I'm like, it has been horrible. And like, I just go on this rant, and like, it was this moment with the people that were there and in leadership. And I think even for your parents, it was like, okay, what we're doing isn't working, because ministry should never feel like, yes, it's work, you know, and at times it's really hard work, but everything that you do for God you should enjoy it, you know, but you have to keep the main thing. And I think in that moment, like it broke your dad for a minute. He was just like, I'm sorry, because as a leader, you put that like on yourself, you know, and and it had nothing to do with him, but he felt the weight of it. But it was this moment in our leadership meeting where people could like put this wall down, and it was like, we're not gonna fake, anymore, which that worked, for us for like a couple of months. And then we were like, back to the walls up, because we're still going through it. And but in that moment, I learned that it's okay to be vulnerable, because there's other people that need your vulnerability for them to be able to get it out. And so it was a major breakthrough. And even then, like, it took years after that before I even realized really what I was dealing with and what I was walking through, and how I was completely out of alignment with the call of God on my life.
Yeah, I know. It's not only that. It's like one of the things that, especially in church, if not everyone's in agreement and, wants to go the same path, that'll majorly disrupt things, because it's like building blocks. Like, you can't stack a piece over here and then have one over here and expect for it to keep going up. It's always gonna just get stretched and stretched and stretched. And I can't say like I fully, understand everything about it, because obviously, like, I wasn't fully involved.
Right.
But with my dad being the pastor, I saw a lot of things that people, like even the people attending church, don't see. Like, I saw how stressful it was at times for my dad and my mom, like they were, they put their whole like lives into it, essentially.
Yeah,
like,
they did.
My dad didn't get paid to do what he did, like all these things, and like he put like blood, sweat, and tears into it. Like, and one thing that he did and still does is he always would try and see the best in people. And that really, in times, hurt him, because, people will take advantage of that if you let them. And so, I saw, from the outside, and like it was, and someone told me this, because I was talking to them, and I was like, man, like, it's hard, because sometimes I felt like I didn't have a relationship with my dad or my mom. Not necessarily my mom. Me and her, like, your mom's your mom. Like, you're always going to have more of a relationship, at least for a guy. Like, you're always going to be close to your mom, protective over her. Yeah. And I was like, because this guy I was talking to is also a pastor's kid. I was like, it always felt like, like, we didn't ever have like that relationship where I could go to him about things that I need to go to. Yeah. And he was like, I get it. He was like, when you're in ministry, your 100% time and effort is going into ministry, and especially in certain situations. Like, like my dad, like the church had a lot, and during that time had a lot of, wrongs, that like a lot of people wronged the ministry. I mean, it was, there's times where it was super, super bad. Yeah. And so he was like, when you say yes to becoming a pastor, that takes so much away from you. Like, you're putting all this time into focusing on the people, because you're a shepherd. You have to be focused on them. Exactly. And so he was like, it's not like he didn't want that, that connection with you. It's just, that's a commitment that he had to, make to help the people. And so that really helped me, hearing that, because I was like, okay,
well, and you have to remember, so your dad, they were young, and they had never done this before. They didn't come to Texas to be pastors. They came here to be worship leaders and to be youth leaders, and so they got thrown into this, and they were young. And the four of us went into this going, well, we've never built a church before and stuff. And so what happened was, we were able to learn from watching, like your dad and stuff. And so that's why Jason has put like these boundaries, like, hey, Mondays, I don't do anything ministry. And I am fortunate that they walked ahead of us in this, because it's almost like they paved this path for us. And God never tells you have to forsake your family to be in ministry. Of course. There's a way that it all goes together, but you have to figure it out. And being able to have someone to walk through it before you. Yeah. We are blessed to have had that, and that we didn't have to be them and be the ones that paved the way for this church.
That's not only that, it kind of showed you like, okay, these are some things that you can't do. Yeah. And these are good things. Yeah. So like, it's almost like,
and I hate it for them, because we had to learn from their mistakes, like they had to fail at it for us to learn. And but they don't hold it against us. No, yeah. And I mean, my parents are great now. They love being in Tennessee. They have a great life there, and I'm super happy for them. I love going there, visiting. I mean, they're building a house right now. And
another thing with, he wasn't only a pastor at that time. He had a business that he
He
had
was
to run.
building a
And
business
it
from the
was
ground up.
exactly like it. I'm not going to say it was this, it was successful, but I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a business where he could just sit back and relax. Like he was very
Right.
hands-on with that too.
Yeah.
So obviously, that takes away
Yeah.
from that as well. Because I mean, going to work and clocking in and out is a lot different than owning a business. Because I mean, you're always, it's like a
You're on
24/7 thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's hard. Like it's hard
Yeah.
to find that balance of family, business, and church. Like that's
Right.
very, very difficult. But yeah, I mean, they were pastors of Freedom Life Church from 2012 to 2022, 2023.
2023.
2023.
February of 2023. They actually stayed. We
11
pastored
months.
from February until they left in December.
Yeah, or 10 months, but yeah.
Yeah, and so, which is unheard of. I mean, that just tells you the character that your parents have. Is they were like, okay, y'all take the reins. We are going to serve, and we're going to do absolutely everything that we can to make this transition flow really well. And it did. And we lost a couple of people, really, but almost everybody stayed, which almost never happens when you transfer pastors.
I mean, even like it was Gideon, right? I believe. I don't know. PJ
Don't be
was
asking me
talking-
Bible stories.
Well, it was the one PJ talked about the couple weeks or probably
Caleb?
a month ago now, where they had to go down to the water, and he was like, the ones that'll drink.
Gideon's 300.
Yeah, and so like it went from 10,000 to less than 1,000. So I mean, you just have to lose people. I mean,
you do.
Not everyone can walk into what's going to happen.
No.
And I mean, even with Abraham, the promised land, like that took 40 years.
Yeah.
And some of the people that were there from the beginning didn't even see the promise because it was disobedience, things like that.
Right.
So there's always going to be that
Yeah.
little bit of loss in churches, but that only makes it stronger.
It does.
At the end of the day.
You get rid of like dead weight. Which I mean, I don't want to call people dead weight, but the Bible says let the dead bury the dead, But no, not everybody and that's so funny when people get upset when people leave churches. I'm like, your church isn't even big enough to hold everybody.
Yeah.
Like you can't, there's not a church in America that could hold everybody even in one county,
I mean, yeah.
And so it's like,
probably
chill.
100,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, there's so many
It's like, we can seat 200,
Yeah. Shoot, in Baghdad, I mean, it was more like 115. I mean,
Yeah, it was.
Now we're in Liberty Hill, Texas.
Yeah.
We have an awesome church there.
Yeah, we do.
It's growing at substantial rates. I mean,
it's insane.
It's like I see a new face and new people every single week, and it's crazy. I mean, it's awesome to watch firsthand and really be involved and help with everything. It's awesome.
It's cool being able to take over all these buildings that are on this property.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're able to move so quickly on it. And our church has never taken out a loan. Yeah. We've cash flowed everything. Yeah. And like Jason will be like, okay, we're doing this next. And like
money.
I'm looking at the finances and I'm like, how are you going to do that? And then it's just like overflow just starts coming in. Like you said, like a few weeks ago, someone that doesn't even go to our church, that doesn't like, they're not even like spirit-filled people. She walks up to Jason and gives him a $5,000 check for the church and says, wow, I love what you are doing there. Keep up the good work, Yeah. And it's just like, wow. And so that just tells you, like, if God puts something on your heart to do, it's not your job to figure out how you're going to pay for it. You just go forward and he provides everything. Because I'm like, we shouldn't, at really the size that we are, which we've grown, we shouldn't be able to accomplish as much as we're able to accomplish as fast as we're able to do it. And then he's like, hey, we're opening up a second campus. And I'm like, like, I'm with you, but I'm like, do you look at the church finances, And they're great and they're good. But I'm like, but to hold a second campus, like that's thousands of dollars a month, No, and then he's like, hey, we're going to put up 5 of them. And I'm like, and so finally I'm just like, I'm with you because I know God's going to provide. And I know that where we're at is like the smallest that we are ever going to be.
Yeah.
And then I look at these pastors that, like even like TV evangelists and stuff like this, and they've got like thousands of people. And I'm like, you know what? If God can do that for them, not that we want like our names known and stuff like this, but if God can do that for these people, then why can't he do that for us? Like, they're no different than we are. And quite frankly, we are way cooler than they are. I think Freedom Life Church is,
we're a pretty cool church.
And so I think like that. And I'm like, one day we're going to be like, do you remember when we were in that 200 seat sanctuary? Like, I was listening to Pastor Parsley's, podcast earlier today, and he was like, we started out and we were in like 140 seat church, and I'm like, they started out just like we are, and now he's like the voice for America, like the man of Pentecost for America. That's who he is, and he's known all around the world, and how many people have been able to be saved under his ministry is insane. And I'm like, God can use us to that level. Yeah. Like, he doesn't love Pastor Rod more than he loves us.
Of course not.
You know? And so I make myself keep thinking that way, that I'm like, we weren't meant to be small. Nothing God does is supposed to stay small. And so I don't even like telling people like, we're a small church. I'm like, no, we're a growing church.
We're really not even to the point to where we're a small church anymore.
No.
I mean, I would say, when we were at Baghdad, we were a small church. Because, when y'all took over, was it 23 people? It was like in the 20s.
27 maybe. I don't know. Jason knows.
And now consistently on Sunday, we're at least at bare minimum having 120.
Yeah.
So in 3 years.
Yeah.
But really not even that. I mean, like, because when we left Baghdad, we had probably 80 people consistently.
Did? Yeah.
So even in the last 8 months,
that's it.
We've grown.
Yeah.
Like times 2 almost.
Right.
Because you can say 160 people call Freedom Life Church home.
If you can get them all there on the same Sunday.
Yeah, like, half of them are on vacation, doing this.
Yeah.
But if everyone was there on one Sunday,
about 160.
It would be 160 to 180 easily, which is just, that's insane to me.
That just means like, and Pastor Jay and I knew this. We were like, we have to get to a different location. We have to be able to have like more breathing room, because people don't want to sit on top of each other, and they don't want to feel crammed in, and then they're like, there's nowhere for you to grow, and here we're able to just keep casting vision to where we're like, hey, we've got room to grow here. But even then, we're like, our parking lot can only hold so many people, so we're already mentioning, hey, like, if this is consistently like 130 to 150, we have to go to a second service, and so it's really cool. It's really cool to see how quickly God can move. Yeah. He will move as fast as you're willing to, And so we're just like, okay, we're going to move really quick, because like time's ticking. Like we're not getting any extra time. Like we have so much time before he comes back. And so the way Jason's been saying it, he was like, act as though we only have 5 years to build this church before the rapture. Yeah. And so that's at the speed that we're going to move. Now, obviously, like someone drops like $100,000 or $1 million, like we're like, let's go. We'll put a church in every freaking county in Texas. But yeah, it's really cool, and it's crazy to me. Like, even when people ask me, they're like, "You're the pastor's wife?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, this is what you get." But I'm like, God chose us for this, and it baffles me, because what you feel so underqualified for, and God just uses it, and in crazy ways, God uses it.
And it goes to show, like, no matter what plans you have or what you want to do, like y'all went from, not even this recently, but like drinking, smoking your childhood, doing all these things. Yeah. He pulled you back in church. Yeah. Went back to it again. He's like, no, this isn't what you're doing. Yeah. Pulled you back in, and now you're seeing everything, that he had meant, and he knew all this stuff was going to happen during all those times. Yeah. And someone told me this I think it might have been in church. I don't remember where it was, but someone says, God doesn't see you as who you are. Yeah. He sees you as who you're meant to be.
That's right.
And that is awesome, because I really beat myself up sometimes. I'm like, man, like I'm not anywhere where I feel like I need to be. But then I think of that, I'm like, I just need to keep going, and God's timing, like, it'll line up when it needs to line up.
You just keep going, and everything just starts clicking into place, and And yeah, and then you look back and you're like,
Wow.
holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, this is really cool. I'm just going to keep going because this is really awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think this has been good.
That was fun. It was totally different than
this
the
was
last time. It went
last
completely
time.
different track.
I really hope y'all enjoyed. This is episode 7. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's night. If you like the video, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace.
Peace.